Sweet Summer Days is happening now at Whole Foods Market with sales on the juiciest fruits of the season. Organic peaches, organic cantaloupes, blueberries, and strawberries. That's an epic fruit salad. You'll also find sweet sales on fresh Alaska sockeye salmon and halibut and grill-ready fruity marinades. Keep your wallet happy with aisles of savings from $3.65 by Whole Foods Market, like sparkling waters, frozen fruits, and snacks. Sweeten your summer at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh. Remember deep in the trenches of COVID lockdowns when folks were struggling mentally, financially? Some of us picked up hobbies. Lots of us lost or switched our jobs. Personally, I took up landscaping, got really into Top Chef, and applied to grad school. It was bleak. Well, one gal born and bred here in the South Hills turned that big old rough patch into a thriving and delicious little business on the main drag of Mount Oliver Borough. Today, the CityCast Pittsburgh team is paying a long overdue in-person visit to the beautiful produce, luscious cheeses, and enthusiastic refrigerators of Megan McGinnis, aka the Cheese Queen. It's Thursday, July 20th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. So the CityCast Pittsburgh crew needed a little field trip, and we felt like a cheese board would be just the ticket. I'm with Megan McGinnis, the owner of the Cheese Queen and Mount Oliver. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you guys for coming. I'm so excited to have you guys here with us.
We have got a beautiful spread in front of us, and I can't wait to dig in.
Definitely. So Megan, I want to hear a little bit about your family history, because I know you've got a really cool, deep grocery legacy here in town. It's super cool. How did it start and get to this place? Like the McGinnis sisters is like so well known from so many Pittsburghers.
So my grandfather started the business in a fruit stand in the gas station parking lot in Baldwin. And then he actually opened his brick and mortar right there on Custard Avenue. My grandparents had eight children, and my grandma used to make all the salads and all the things in her home, and then they would walk them up through the back field and drop them off at the store whenever that was okay to do back in the day.
When you say salads, do you mean like Pittsburgh salads where it's like covered in mayo or vinegar?
Yeah, like potato salads. All of those things were the recipes that she created. And then he opened up another location right there on Brownsville Road in Brentwood. And then he opened the store on 51, and then it eventually evolved. My dad opened his location in Castle Shannon, right there on 88, where Mindful Brewing is today. And him and my uncle opened that, and they started their business from a fruit stand and eventually saved all their money from selling Christmas trees and selling fruit to build their own brick and mortar from the ground up. So I grew up in the grocery industry. I thought I was working, but I wasn't working. I was playing hide and seek with my sisters and my cousins.
That's how the entrepreneurial spirit hits a lot of us, I think.
Yes. And it was definitely an amazing gift to grow up as a McGinnis and to grow up in a small business, because there's things that you learn in a small business that you can't learn in college or anywhere else. And it's just things that I have taken with me and been able to treasure.
Some of it's like hard skills, like, you know, managing, like being your own accountant and managing an inventory.
Right. And being on time. And my grandfather always said, if you can do anything right, be on time.
Well, so that's the grocery industry writ large, kind of.
Yeah.
How did you get into cheese?
So my mom actually was the cheese buyer for my dad's location. And she also was obviously like the cheese manager, cutting the cheese and things. And I just remember standing on a milk cart carton and her cutting cheese and wrapping the cheese. And I actually remember the sounds of the wrap and just everything. And I actually just had a love for cheese. I was actually like 6 or 7 years old, and I was eating triple cream brie with infused, with mushrooms, and I was eating blue cheese, and I just always, and that's really not normal for like a 6, 7, 8-year-old. So eventually, whenever my dad broke away from the business and he started to be the produce buyer for my aunt's locations, I eventually came back to work for my aunts, and I was actually in the cheese department. I was the specialty grocery buyer and cheese buyer. I wore many hats, as a
like
family.
You do.
Yeah, right. But I just had a love for cheese, and my employees at our locations had called me the cheese queen, and so did my family. So that's where my name came from.
Well, and it's at its peak, McGinnis Sisters was everywhere.
Yeah,
How many stores was it total?
3.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like its word of mouth really traveled all around the city.
Yeah.
I actually drive by a ghost sign, I guess it would be,
I know.
of the grocery every day.
They definitely, the family definitely pioneered the specialty food movement, started the farmers markets, here in Pittsburgh. And they actually, if you take a trip to the Heinz History Center, there's a really cool exhibit down there with our family, some of our artifacts from the stores, and a lot of just our story, which is really fun to visit.
What does it mean to you to kind of grow up, in that shadow and on that stage, and to be a part of the food system here locally like that?
I'm just so proud and I'm so proud of my family still. And I just feel very blessed and lucky that I was able to grow up.
Hey Pittsburgh, it's Megan. If you're craving a delicious scoop on a hot summer day, get yourself up to Bakery Square, the new local home for Jenny's Ice Cream in Pittsburgh. I know, it's sort of sacrilegious here to love an Ohio brand this much, but y'all, I have been a Jenny stan for years. Their flavors are so creative. The brown butter almond brittle, the brambleberry crisp, and they have dairy-free and gluten-free flavors too. Their cold brew one, it is almost better than actual coffee. And one day, I might even pluck up the courage to try the everything bagel. My friend Laura says it's divine. I'm so stoked that I can finally get my from-scratch Jenny's Fix right here in Pittsburgh, even at Target, Whole Foods, or Giant Eagle. Find all their flavors and fun facts at Jenny's, that's JENIS.com.
And here I am, and I'm able to bring Pittsburgh just a small piece of what my family had to offer, even though it's just cheese and charcuterie, but it's definitely a great small piece.
This is not a small amount of cheese. Okay, so the whole team is here. Everybody's been very quiet, very polite. We're all staring at a lot of cheese. I hear that you have rules to how you put together your boards. Would you mind giving us a taste of what that is?
I would love to. So the 5 steps on putting a charcuterie board together properly is, first, since we're at the cheese queen, you always want to place your good stuff, which is the cheese. So you're going to place your cheese first, okay? Your second is you're going to place your meats. Third is any fruits and vegetables, and olives and pickles is also in that. Even though we don't have any on our board today, those are also in that. Fourth is going to be any fillers, and fillers is always going to be crackers, nuts, chocolates, your jam, your honey, any of those. And then number 5 is going to be a garnish. Garnish is usually edible flowers. It also can be herbs. Let's just talk about herbs really quickly. So if you are going to use herbs on your charcuterie board, you want to make sure that if you're going to place it back in the refrigerator, that you actually are using hardier herbs, which would be your thyme, your mint, it would be your rosemary. Your herbs that are a little bit more finicky, if you put those in the fridge, they're going to wilt, would be your basil and your sage. So you want to wait until you pull your board actually out to place those as your garnish.
Right before serving.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You always want to let your charcuterie board at least sit out for 15 minutes before serving, because you want your soft cheeses to kind of get, as you can see, I'm going to pick this up. It's starting to
we've got
get
half
like
a wheel
nice,
of brie here.
Yeah,
And
it's starting to get
yeah.
it's starting to separate a little bit, and it's starting to get to room temperature where it's getting the creamiest, and it's getting in the middle there, it's kind of looking like butter, right? Mm-hmm. So that's when you know that that's a great piece of brie, and it's coming to room temperature.
I really feel like this is a piece of art. I mean, we've got so much color here. Would you kind of describe it as like painting a picture?
I would. There's definitely different ways to put together a charcuterie board too. Some people like to follow the colors. I like to follow my steps, because you'll see why. It just eventually all comes together. Mm-hmm. But it definitely is food art. It definitely is.
Yeah. And this is a lot of food in front of us, but it's what, like 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet maybe?
Yeah.
I've seen some of your boards out in the wild that are the length of whole tables.
Yes, that's a grazing table. It's actually becoming really popular with weddings. This coming up here in September and October, we have some weddings where we're doing the whole meal, and it's just charcuterie. We also have a September wedding coming up that I'm very excited about, where our charcuterie board, instead of them using flowers as their centerpiece, it's going to be our charcuterie board.
I don't know whose face lit up more, Mallory or Francesca's.
Mallory's staying quiet.
But Francesca had the deep inhale.
That is genius.
Yes, and I said when I was talking to the client, I said, oh my gosh, I said she just wants everyone to eat family style. One of her favorite things was to have a charcuterie board to share with her family. So she wants it to be the centerpiece of their table for the wedding. I will have flower embellishments also with that board from Armful of Flowers. They're one of our trusted partners up here in Mount Washington. So we will have a little bit of flower embellishments there, but the centerpiece will be our charcuterie board.
I love that so much. And I don't know, it feels a little dangerous to me, because typically at a Pittsburgh wedding, I am parked by the cookie table. But if there is a charcuterie spread at a table, oh my gosh,
You have to make choices,
Yeah,
Francesca.
and how fun is it just to sit there with the people you love and to be able to share together and be able to try different pairings. What I love most about grazing tables and also any charcuterie boards is you keep going back for more and trying new flavors together and be able to try new pairings and taste just different things. And you just keep going back for new tastes and new flavors.
Have conversations about it too.
Yes.
You're all of a sudden
it's
sharing
definitely a conversation piece.
Like, I found this, like I paired this with this and it's so delicious. And then all of a sudden your whole table is just kind of creating that magic with you.
Yes.
When it feels like kind of a big step forward too, to bring back something like a grazing table where everyone can have a piece here and have a piece there.
Yeah.
Like after 3 years of a pandemic, when I know your business was born, to be able to do that feels like kind of momentous to have that as an option again.
Right. It does. And when my business was born in COVID, I was trying to kind of bring joy to people just because they were stuck at home, and I wanted to bring them something special right to their door. So that they could have, like what we just talked about, kind of a conversation, have something fun, get to laugh a little bit, like, wow, did you try this together? Because people were stuck in their homes, and I kind of gave them an experience right there in their living room.
And it's expanded quite a bit since then. Tell me how it got its start.
I was kind of a stay-at-home mom at that point, and then I started working for Mount Oliver Borough here where my store is, planning events. But I turned 40. I had my 3-year-old, my 3.5-year-old, and COVID hit. And my husband worked for the travel industry, and he was out of work for quite some time because events and travel got hit really hard, industries that got hit really hard. And my husband said to me the day after Thanksgiving, I don't know how we're going to pay our mortgage. And I shifted and pivoted and became the cheese queen 5 days later. And here I am. And I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary here in our storefront. And I'm so excited to be able to bring Pittsburgh, like I said, a small piece of the great service that my family gave to Pittsburgh for so many years, and the good quality, and be able to support other local businesses. And I call them like my business besties. And yeah.
That's kind of incredible. Like, so many of us had those hard conversations.
Yeah.
Very few of us started a business from scratch 5 days later.
Yeah. And I share that story with everyone. I'm an open book because I think that if I share my story, it'll help somebody else. It's funny how we can just see something in front of us and say, okay, I'm going to shift and pivot. And here we are.
Why did the grocery store chain close in 2018?
I think my aunts kind of and my uncle, they did their dance. They were ready to retire. And anytime, you're moving on kind of in a family business, it's difficult. And I'm glad that I can share, like I said, in a small piece. Would I want to open a grocery store? No. But I'm glad that I can do this in such a small piece,
Totally.
and focus on what I love.
Maybe a small blessing too, that happened
That's right.
a couple years before the pandemic.
Yes.
You didn't have to navigate anything like that on top
Yes.
of that.
Yes, for sure.
Sweet Summer Days is happening now at Whole Foods Market with sales on the juiciest fruits of the season. Organic peaches, organic cantaloupes, blueberries, and strawberries. That's an epic fruit salad. You'll also find sweet sales on fresh Alaska sockeye salmon and halibut and grill-ready fruity marinades. Keep your wallet happy with aisles of savings from $3.65 by Whole Foods Market, like sparkling waters, frozen fruits, and snacks. Sweeten your summer at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
Can we try a couple things?
Sure. What I have for you guys today to try is I have triple cream brie, and look at how beautiful that honeycomb looks on there. It's one of my favorite pairings.
It's very shimmery, almost.
Yes.
The honey on there.
Yes.
Absolutely. So what's next?
Okay, so we are going to try peppered peach jam. It's our summer favorite, obviously, because we're getting into peach season. This is from Batch in Saxonburg. We're going to actually have that with this Jarlsberg Swiss. So I'm going to give you guys a little dollop on there.
Give me cheese.
Yeah. Now this has like a nice sweetness, but then you're going to get that little kick at the end. And this peppered peach pairs extremely well with all different cheeses. I like to sometimes have this also on our Christmas boards because think about it, ham, right? And then your glaze, most glazes are peach. And I like to give this on our charcuterie boards because people can have that the next day. If they don't finish it, they could have a ham sandwich and just put that jam right on top.
There you go.
And you said this is Swiss cheese?
Yes. Isn't it delicious?
This is
Where are
nice.
the holes?
I know. Where are the holes? Isn't it a great pairing?
I feel bad that you're not eating.
You know what? I feel bad for myself too.
One thing I'm struck by, listening to you and looking at this board is that, there's a lot of local love here.
Yeah.
Is Pittsburgh known for its cheese? Because I don't think I've heard a lot about that. Pennsylvania, of course, has a ton of dairies, but
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know as much about the Pittsburgh cheese scene.
So I usually source most of my cheeses are European. I don't usually use a lot of local cheeses on our boards. I am trying to partner up with some local farms and some different things moving forward with our business as we start to grow. One of our goals, because we're organically growing, obviously because I'm a mom and I have my girls at home and I'm trying to take the balance. Yeah. Is I would love to get involved with selling cheese eventually here and being able to offer some of those local farms and different things.
And I understand you're also getting some more education As if growing up in a grocery family wasn't enough.
Yes, that is going to be starting hopefully in January or February.
I didn't realize that there was an official certification process to be a quote unquote cheesemonger.
Yes, there is an official process.
We Googled it. It is so intense.
It's very intense.
So many hours.
It's
like
so many
4,000 hours.
Yes, but education is always good. And if I learned anything from my family, they were always sending us for continued education and different things like that. So I'm pretty excited about going to do that.
What will being an official cheesemonger allow you to do? How will it change your job at all?
Well, I think that, for me, it's the certification. And obviously I have the background and I know about different cheeses and I learned a lot working with my family, but it's just taking it to the next level.
Yeah. I did a wine class some years ago and I remember the thing, people were like, oh, did it change your opinion about like what you liked? And I was like, no, but it helped me understand why I like what I like.
Right. And it gives you the education too. And then I want to be able to share that with others and hold some different classes here at the Cheese Queen based off of that information and help them become an expert too.
Very cool. So I think we have one more cheese or two on this plate.
Yeah. I really am excited about having you guys look at isn't that port wine cheese just beautiful?
Yeah, she's purple. She's white.
She's
marbled.
tie-dye.
Yeah, you're just going to fall in love.
I get the whole chunk.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You're just going to fall in love with the sweetness. It has like a nice flavor, doesn't it? It has like a nice sweet, but then you can taste the port wine there at the end.
Wow.
A lot of my my customers love that. And it's it gives such a beautiful presentation on a charcuterie board.
I feel like it looks like a beautiful countertop.
It does, yeah.
Eclectic one.
Yeah.
It almost tastes a little like a hint of blueberry.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
that's that port wine, that you're tasting there.
I've only historically really drank wine with my cheese. I don't think I've ever had a wine cheese. This is incredible.
It is. It's one of my favorites. It's definitely a crowd pleaser, especially with our customers. When you order a board here at the Cheese Queen, we include a card that we talk about the cheeses that you have because I like to give you the info in case you want to go out and be able to purchase it yourself.
Right.
We also talk about the accompaniments that are going to be on there and what pairs really well together so that you can kind of read your card, especially if you're having like a girls' night or you're sitting there with family, so that you can kind of chat about what you're doing. Because it's kind of like a whole experience that we're giving you. But talking about different cheeses helps me talk to the customer because say you don't like blue cheese. I always say to the customer, try it and try it with this. And then sometimes it totally changes the customer's outlook on what they're tasting because they think of blue cheese as just being crumbles and stinky and dry. And that's really not what all blue cheeses are like.
They've not had the best version.
They haven't had the best version.
So bring us home. We've got one more cheese on this plate. And you said...
And this is just a regular... We are just going to try this creamy pepper jack. But I want you to try it with the cocktail cucumber. Is like a little... Is a one bite. So I'm going to give you guys a piece of that right on there.
I love cucumber so much.
The reason why I paired that with the cucumber is it's cooling that spiciness of the pepper jack down.
And it's a pretty mild pepper jack overall.
It is a pretty, and it's a very creamy pepper jack.
It is.
Yeah, it's delicious.
I noticed we kind of started off sweet and ended spicy. Is that like kind of what you would recommend?
So when you're designing your charcuterie board, I recommend starting with soft and then working your way kind of in a clock. So I always do soft, then semi-soft, then you could also add in there like another semi-soft, and then getting to your harder cheeses, and then repeating that kind of in a clock version. But there's no rhyme or reason why we tasted what we did. I just like thought that if we ended with that nice cold cucumber for you guys with that crunch, it just was the icing on the cake.
How do you figure out like how many cheeses to serve? Is it like X number per person, or when you're figuring out what variety to choose?
So
And the accoutrement too.
right. So I with a board like this board in front of us, like this would feed 4 to 6. A good ratio I try to do for feeding 4 to 6 people on this board is I like to do 3 to 4 cheeses. I like to at least do 2 meats. I also like to do at least 3 to 4 fruits, 2 veggies on there, whether that's olives and pickles and tomatoes. And then also keeping in mind the pairings as well.
So it's really about the variety.
Yeah, it is about the variety, I think. The variety is the spice of life.
Megan, thank you so much
my
for
gosh,
letting
thank
us
you guys.
come down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
loved having you guys anytime.
And thank you for this delicious spread.
You're so welcome.
Some news before you go. Get ready for a tie in the Pennsylvania House. Another one. Democrat Sarah Innamorato has resigned so she can pursue her campaign here locally to be the next Allegheny County executive. This new lockup comes amid another budget impasse, but the even split between the parties may not have that much of an effect. The Speaker of the House has scheduled another special election for September 19th. That will be a week ahead of when House members are returning to Harrisburg. And if this episode made you hungry, you can celebrate the Cheese Queen's first birthday in person at the Queen's Night Market. It's tonight at 6 p.m. in Mount Oliver. The Cheese Queen herself will be there, and so will her friends from Polska Alaska, Armful of Flowers, Brown Bear Bread, Repepi Winery, and so many more. That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you're liking the show, we hope you'll let someone know. Good word of mouth is how I find all my favorite podcasts, so we really appreciate it when people say nice things to their friends and family and neighbors. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon. I'm going to smell my cheese at tables and in public from now on. This is great.
You don't already?
Oh my gosh, I know.
You'll know CityCast in the wild if you ever see us sniffing our cheese.